SummerSlam is in the books, and if I look disappointed is because I am. Even though it wasn't a terrible show per se, it was definitely one of the most disappointing shows I've seen in a long time. And partly that is my fault and the fans' fault as well for overhyping the show in terms of what it could be, the returns that were potentially able to happen, and ultimately what we got was what felt like a B show, but SummerSlam should never feel like a B show. Hello everybody, my name is Santi, and today I'm going to be reviewing SummerSlam 2023 for you, as you can get from that first little bit. I'm not a huge fan of the show, but there's a lot of great things in here that I'm going to be able to, at the very least, celebrate, but there's also a lot of low points here that I'm going to rag on and I'm going to destroy. Let's jump into it. The first match of the night was Logan Paul versus Ricochet, and probably the best match of the night. If you are still, for some reason, saying that Logan Paul in the WWE is toxic, is bad, why is Logan Paul in the WWE? He's just a podcaster, he's just a YouTuber. Stop. It's done. It's a stupid, silly narrative. You're now in the minority. You should absolutely not be feeling this way about Logan Paul anymore. It is a waste of your time. It is a waste of your sweat and tears to be angry about Logan Paul, because he is amazing. He is crushing it. He is absolutely deserving of every spot that he gets. Ricochet came out looking like $1 million in this match as well. I dare say that that was Ricochet's best match in the main roster, period. And it was thanks to Logan freaking Paul. Ricochet has had matches with the likes of Nakamura, and that match can't even hold a candle to what Ricochet versus Logan Paul was able to do at SummerSlam. It was a fantastic opening contest. It was fast-paced. It was intriguing in terms of the storyline that they were telling in ring, and there were some super cool spots. My personal favorite was the Spanish fly from the apron to the outside where they both landed on their feet. They're just both superheroes, honestly, at this point. Logan Paul and Ricochet gets an absolute thumbs up from me. That match was fantastic and most likely gonna go down as match of the night. And then next up, we have Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar in a disqualification match. Oh wait, no it wasn't. Although apparently it was, because Cody Rhodes just used weapons in this, and the ref was just like, okay, I guess this is a no disqualification match now. But no, this was not a disqualification match. You might have thought that, because like I said, Cody Rhodes decided to use the steel steps to beat up Brock Lesnar midway through the match, but it did not get called as a disqualification. Either way, this match was interesting. Looking back on it, initially I was hating it. I was hating this weird sort of like pseudo-human storyline that they were telling about Cody Rhodes, where Brock Lesnar was just destroying him and trying to win via countout, which is how I try to win matches in WWE 2K23, and he would hit him with F5 after F5. But Cody Rhodes, just being Captain America, kept standing up and rolling back into the ring at count 9. And yeah, I thought it was cheesy. I really thought that part was very cheesy, because you knew this wasn't going to end in a countout. So it was a very bizarre narrative for them to take that I did not enjoy. Once they stopped that shenanigans, it got good. It got good once it became an actual match in the ring, with Cody Rhodes hitting some fantastic moves. One of the gnarliest springboard top rope Cody cutters that I've seen in some time. Brock Lesnar does a phenomenal job selling for guys the size of Cody Rhodes. Ultimately, I would say that this match went from a thumbs up to a thumbs down thanks to the final sequence of the match, which made it a more palatable event. But the whole superhero Cody Rhodes thing did not resonate with me. I thought it was really cheesy. I thought it was really lame. What I will say is I personally did enjoy the embrace at the end between Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar, although it still seems to me very bizarre that embrace would happen when Brock Lesnar has literally been terrorizing Cody Rhodes for the past several months, even beating him up in front of his own mom. Still, I digress. You know what I will say? This match needed a stipulation? Why didn't this have a stipulation? I mean, you should have just made a no disqualification if you were going to allow weapons in this. All right. So overall, I will give it a thumbs up, but it's like right here. It's like barely a thumbs up. It's like a diagonal thumbs is what I'll give it. Oh, actually, you know what else was the highlight of this match? Brock's nuts and his shorts. You know, those shorts took a beating. All right. And we saw a lot of the beast's bulge. That Brock sausage. And then we go to another highlight of the night, which was LA Knight winning the Slim Jim Battle Royal by finally eliminating Sheamus towards the end. Some highlights of this was Chatty Daddy just being an absolute wrestling machine in the ring. Chad Gable is so good. And I think they did a great job setting up a feud with Imperium after this. Something else that the Battle Royal did really, really well was to establish narrative between superstars that have feuds. We had altercations between Nakamura and Ciampa. We also had altercations between AJ Styles and Karrion Kross. So it did a good job in terms of continuing to establish storylines beyond SummerSlam. So I got to give it praise for that. We also had the return of Omos. Praise the Homo sapiens. I know you guys can see the chat here because I'm recording this live on Twitch. So my chat is probably going to spam a bunch of Omos emotes. By the way, if you want to join us for a future watch along, twitch.tv/SantiZap. But LA Knight won, and I'm very, very happy because my LA Knight shirt came in today. But overall, this was a lot of fun. The pop for LA Knight was absolutely monumental. Easily the loudest that crowd got because, by the way, that crowd was a stinker. All right. You guys were asleep. You guys thought that you were in some sort of museum gallery. I mean, come on. Dead crowds make bad shows even worse, sadly. But this Battle Royal also gets a thumbs up. Next up, we have the Intercontinental Championship match between Gunther, the Ring General, versus Drew McIntyre. And for me personally, even though this was not a bad match, I want to clarify this. This is not a bad match. This is a good match, but it was an underwhelming match in terms of what we were all expecting. I think a lot of us had the expectation that this could be match of the night, match of the month, match of the summer, match of the year, match of the decade. And it was a fine match. It was aggressively fine. I loved the physicality between these two. You know, anytime these two step into the ring together, they really are the embodiment of big meaty men slapping meat. But this, in my opinion, pales in comparison to what Gunther and Sheamus did and what Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre did at WrestleMania. So I was disappointed by it not being an absolute barn burner. So, you know, like, it's still a fine match, so it's still a thumbs up. But for me, my expectations, it's a thumbs down. But again, I just want to clarify, it's a good match. It's just my expectations were significantly much higher. Why am I stopping in between? Oh, because I'm recording for YouTube, so giving myself some time to breathe and making the editor do some work. Work, editor, work. I got him chained to a radiator editing things. Next up, we have Seth freaking Rollins taking on Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship, with Seth Rollins winning. And this match was, to quote Anchorman, a roller coaster of emotion. It had me in a glass case of emotion. I think this was potentially like almost as good as Logan Paul versus Ricochet. There was a lot more at stake, which helped with the drama of the match. But I think that this match was fantastic. They told a great story about the 7 years. I think that narrative was really good, with Seth Rollins wearing the same gear that he wore 7 years ago, and Finn Balor wearing a reminder tattoo or body paint with the word 7 across the shoulder that was injured 7 years ago. So it told a really, really cohesive storyline that I was personally really invested in. But the in-ring work, this was, in my opinion, the best match that these guys have ever had. I thought it was phenomenal. I think it was slightly overbooked, but I don't think that it took away from it. The involvement of Judgment Day, Damian Priest, it maybe took away a little bit from what these guys were doing in the ring, which was absolutely torching the damn roof off the building. But it wasn't completely entirely overbooked into oblivion. I still think that the story that was being told between JD, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, of course, Seth Rollins, was really, really good. I don't love the ending of Damian Priest handing Finn Balor the briefcase only for Seth Rollins to stomp him on top of the briefcase. Seems like a very stupid villain thing to do. Like it's very dumb Bond villain, right? Like, haha, look, I've got the weapon. Oh no, you turned the weapon against me. I think that was probably the low point of this. Just the decision to do a very cartoony finish like that. Like, oh, we're the dumb evil guys making dumb decisions. I thought it was silly. But the match was fucking amazing. And now I'm just realizing that I missed Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey. And I wish I missed it in real life, because this match was fucking terrible. This is, oh my God, was this bad. It was such a snooze fest. It was boring. The ladies were unfortunately like just way too hindered by the rules of this match. It was bad. This should have been a fight pit match. This is what it should have been. It should have been a fight pit match. It was right there. That's what they should have done. Where was Bruce Buffer? Even the presentation of this didn't feel like an MMA rules match. I think this is bad. If you're gonna miss a match at SummerSlam, this is the one that you skip. This was garbage. This was a hot, terrible, steaming pile of poo. Don't watch this. It was bad. But at least Shayna Baszler came out on top, and maybe she's gonna be the badass of the women's division moving forward. It was bad though. Thumbs down. And next up, we have what I personally think is the biggest disappointment of the night, because I was calling for this to be match of the night. It was Bianca Belair versus Asuka versus Charlotte for the women's championship, with Bianca Belair winning. And we're going to get to this in just a second because there's more to this story, but I just want to quickly say something. I really believed that this was the night that the WWE was going to shut everyone up and really one up AEW with the booking of their women's matches. I really thought that was an opportunity right for the taking. Right now, a huge narrative in the world of professional wrestling is that companies are not booking women in positions to have good matches or matches at all. And I thought that this was a great opportunity for the WWE to showcase just how stacked their division is and put on a potential match of the year candidate and really show up AEW and demonstrate how to book a women's division. And unfortunately, this match was terrible. I think that arguably, if it wasn't for the ending, this may have been worse than Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey. It was sloppy. There was no chemistry between any of the three ladies. They just kept making mistake after mistake. They kept waiting for spots. You could hear them talk through the match. it was very awkward. There was very little chemistry between the three ladies, and I don't know who's to blame there. I really don't, because I don't know if it's Asuka, Charlotte, or Bianca, but the chemistry wasn't there. It was a very awkward affair. I want to give a shout out to Bianca Belair and her fucking amazing acting, because that knee spot, I thought she was hurt. I thought, oh my God, she's out for a year. That blood curdling scream that she let out with the X's being thrown up and people coming out to help her, I really thought that she genuinely destroyed her knee. It worked. Bianca, you are one hell of an actress. But it's still stupid what happened afterwards, because now we are meant to believe that Bianca Belair has one leg, that her knee is shattered, and then she comes back, she's picking up people for KODs, doing 450 splashes, tanking a figure 8 lock on that bad knee. Like, this was the worst we've seen Super Bianca. You think Super Cena was bad? This trumps anything that Super Cena did ever in his career. Seriously, I don't think that not even Super Cena comes close to the level of silly superhero-ness that they had Bianca Belair do, because not only does she tank a figure 8, which is supposed to be this deadly finisher on this knee that was supposed to be shattered and busted, but then she wins by a roll-up on Asuka, one of the most disrespected champions I've seen in a really long time, who, by the way, didn't even get to come out third. She came out second. I don't know what WWE was thinking, at least up until that point, because I was appalled at the terrible booking decision to have Bianca Belair win the way that she did. But then I was screaming from the heavens. I was praying to God, saying, please, God, can Io Sky come out and save this absolute hot garbage mess Can Io Sky please save this garbage truck rolling down a hill on fire? And she did. She came out, music hit, salvaged the moment, and pinned Bianca in 8 seconds to salvage what would have been one of the most atrocious matches and booking decisions that I would have seen over the past 3.5 years. Thank you, Io. Thank you, WWE, for booking that. But also, that triple threat match was bad. Thumbs down, but then thumbs up. So that is what we'll go with. What's next? Why is it? Oh, it's an emote only. Okay. All right. What do we have? What's next? Oh, the main event. And last but certainly not least, we have Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso in It's Tribal Combat, in another disappointing match. I would dare say that this may be the most disappointing Roman Reigns match that we've had in about 1.5 years. Because Roman Reigns, even though, it's always cheating to win, that's okay. There's still a fun narrative and still a very, very fun match. And what we did have between Roman Reigns and Jey Uso was fun. Like, it was hard hitting. Roman Reigns, his elbow was busted open. We had a couple of table spots, but then it just became it just ended up devolving into this 3-on-1 mess. First, we had a solo Sikoa coming out and turning this into a 2-on-1. But then what was supposed to be the swerve of the show, with Jey Uso about to pick up the victory, we have Jimmy Uso come out and stop him from winning. It's sadly predictable. We kind of knew that Jimmy was going to get involved and most likely going to cost Jey the match. But narratively, I just don't see how this makes sense. I don't see how this makes sense. I don't know what logic is going through the writers' minds why would Jimmy ever cost Jey this match? It was Roman and it was Solo that put him out of action. Some people are going to say, oh, well, he took his spotlight. That's still stupid. It's still stupid. We have 2 guys that were there that put you in a hospital and supposedly endangered your career, and you're going to side with them? The narrative is dumb. It's nonsensical. The one bright spot is that it's going to lead to Jey versus Jimmy, and I know that that's going to be fantastic. I just don't think that it should have gotten to that point the way that they did it. I think that there was far more interesting, more lucrative ways to do this. And WWE has demonstrated that more often than not with the Bloodline storyline, they take those great paths to build a story. I think this one was lazy, and I think this one was cheap, in my personal opinion. Again, the match was fun. The booking was atrocious. So it's going to be a thumbs down for me. The other area of SummerSlam where it left a lot of people just kind of with a lot to be desired was a lack of surprises, a lack of comebacks. The only comeback that we had in this show was Omos, shout out Homo Sapiens, and technically Dakota Kai as well, when she came out to celebrate with Io Sky. But there was a lot of speculation about a Randy Orton return. There was a lot of speculation about a Dwayne The Rock Johnson return. And I'm not saying that we needed those giant returns, but we also could have had call-ups, like maybe a Braun Breaker, anything that could help match this year's SummerSlam to last year's SummerSlam, which is when the saga of returns and debuts and call-ups started. I thought that we were going to get at least more of that moving forward with some NXT call-ups, but it was nothing. There was just no surprises to this show. It was easily the most predictable PLE and the most disappointing PLE since night 2 of WrestleMania. So overall, although I don't think SummerSlam was inherently a bad show, it was disappointing and it was lackluster. So I am going to give SummerSlam a thumbs down, because as a wrestling fan, at the very least, what I'm looking for is emotion. And I walked out of SummerSlam almost completely emotionless. I wasn't mad. I wasn't angry. I wasn't excited. I wasn't happy. I just walked out with a sense of, really? That's it? That, to me, is what really accentuates a poor premium live event. Had I come out angry, that's good. Emotion is good. But coming out not giving a fuck, that's bad. All right, get out of here.